back to the Dethroning Your Inner Critic YouTube channel. I am Joanna Kleinman, psychotherapist, transformational coach, visionary leader, CEO and founder of the growth and potential company Dethroning Your Inner Critic. And today, I want to talk about how I am handling rejection. Now, if you've been following me, you know that my biggest commitment is for you to do the deep transformational work that empowers you to embody and become the next level version of yourself so that you can create the life of your dreams and the impact that you want to make in the world. So transformational work encompasses my entire life. That's why I have the amazing life that I have. And I can assure you that my entire life would be very different without being on that path. Now, that journey is ongoing. And many of you who are on this journey with me know what a deeply spiritual journey that it is. If you're committed to stepping into the highest version of yourself and your life, there are some requirements. You need to be ready to discover your deep core wounds that have held you back in so many areas of your life. You need to learn how to confront your fear head on, actually to develop a muscle to sit in that fear and to sit in the uncertainty of the journey. You need to be able to understand the role that your core wounds play in your fear and self-doubt that you are experiencing, particularly as you're stepping into your biggest vision. You need to see all of the setbacks and challenges that you are inevitably facing along this journey as opportunities to grow and to raise your level of resiliency in your life. Because as you are building your most powerful life, you will be triggered into your old wounds. And if you don't know intimately what your old wounds are, how to recognize them when they surface, who and what triggers them, you are very likely going to give up on making your biggest visions a reality. Because when those old wounds are triggered, man, it can be painful, right? So when you are at your most vulnerable and painful point in the journey, you can't lose sight of the purpose of your vision. The purpose of my vision is to make a meaningful impact in the world. And the more I keep my focus on my purpose for my vision, the more I connect with myself on a way deeper level. The more I'm able to take my eye off of any results, and I just keep my focus on the impact of my vision, the more I'm living a life of incredible fulfillment and gratitude and joy and connection, okay? But when I am in my inner critic self, that's a very different story, okay? So you want to understand that our core wounds are very deeply embedded in our subconscious mind. That's the mind that our inner critics are connected to, our subconscious mind. So these core wounds that we've literally been dragging around with us since we have been children have created very entrenched neural pathways in our brain, okay? So this past week, when I faced a couple of pretty big rejections, my inner critic went right back to her familiar mind-made stories that are attached to my core wounds. So I had two rejections. First was a proposal for a leadership development program for a big organization. And the other was for a keynote speaking engagement. Okay. So, and this is all while I have recently hired two amazing people for my team. So I'm stepping into a much bigger leadership role as my business is growing. And so all of this is the perfect storm for my inner critic to get really loud and to start playing the old patterns of thought and beliefs that are connected to that old version of myself. Now, that old version of ourself is literally created by our core wounds, okay? The old version of ourself, typically we are either trying to overfunction and overcompensate to avoid those core wounds, or we've got circumstances and people and situations in our life that are triggering us into our core wounds, okay? So that's that old version, okay? We're on one side of the fence, we're the other, and we kind of rotate from trying to overcompensate so we don't feel our core wounds, and then getting triggered by our core wounds, and then going back to overcompensating. So that's pretty much the mechanisms of being a human being. And that old version of myself believes that I don't have the leadership skills to be the CEO of a big human growth and development company that impacts thousands of people, right? And so the path of becoming that woman, okay, of becoming somebody that is capable of creating that big vision is a process. And it's really a process of subjecting myself to a whole lot of discomfort on purpose, like facing rejection and feeling shame and getting really uncomfortable with criticism or judgment or questioning whether I have what it takes, right? These are all old familiar patterns that I can trace all the way back to my childhood, right? So this work, this ongoing transformational work, is a very deep exploration of yourself. It bumps you right up against some very painful wounds. But if you're willing to do that work, if you're willing to invest in yourself and do that deep transformational work, you can actually become a completely different version of yourself who actually can turn your dreams into a reality. And that feeling is indescribable. That's indescribable. That's why I do this for visionary leaders. That's why I'm doing all of this, because I want you to feel that indescribable feeling. Okay. And I know I'm not alone in this, right? So I surround myself in a community of women that are all up to the same kind of work, taking themselves to a new level so that they can take their life to a new level. That's what the Mastering Your Mind program is all about. So many people have these big dreams about making an impact in the world or creating something that really is a lifelong passion, right? Something that gives them purpose and meaning. But they find themselves stopped dead in their tracks by fear or doubt or those stories from that old self. So my automatic response when I faced rejection was to automatically fall into that familiar pattern. I'm not just good enough. I've had success, yes, but I'm not good enough to keep bringing my vision to the next level, right? All of that stuff crept in. And then my mind started playing those made up scenarios in my head, right? And playing it out. And that's such an old, predictable pattern, right? It's a predictable pattern of thought and beliefs that leads to the same old emotions, right? And if you get stuck there, those emotions lead to the same behaviors, like avoiding things that are uncomfortable and not showing up as your most powerful self, right? So that's why I do this work, because I'm really committed to a very easy way, an easy method to follow so that we're all able to expand our consciousness, because too many people are stuck in those old patterns, right? They're driven by their core wounds and beliefs that are rooted in childhood. So they might get to the level of success that they want, but they stay stuck in those same feelings of overwhelm and frustration and doubt and fear. And they don't know they're stuck, right? So they keep having the same emotional triggers, engaging in the same behaviors, and they might even be creating that level of success, but there's a huge cost, right? And then they become shocked when they've reached everything that they thought they wanted to reach. They've done all of the things, they've gotten to the top of the mountain, and they feel like they're living the same life over and over and over again. Okay. And that's when people will just give up at that point. They'll say, well, I'm already in my 50s or my 60s, right? That's it. It's too late for me now. I literally heard this from someone last week. She said she's in her mid 50s. She said, I'm too old to make the impact that I really want to make. So I'm just going to go get a job where I'm paid really well, even though it doesn't light me up. And then I'll just wait until I can retire. Oh, that like hurts my heart, because the world desperately needs people who are committed to expanding their level of consciousness. And, this goes way further than just, some positive affirmations or visualizing. Okay. It's deep transformational work that we really all need if we're going to become the person that we need to be, if we really want to make the impact that we want and have the level of relationships that we want and the level of connection and the level of abundance that we want. Okay. Now, all of this work is really predicated on using our minds to raise our energy. Okay. So there's quantum law that tells us that when you raise your internal energy, like energy attracts like energy. So this is how you actually start going into the world and being that person, right? Even before you've created the results, you know how to think and feel and act in alignment with already being that person. And that is when you literally attract the people and the circumstances and those synchronistic opportunities that change your reality. You've got to become that person now. And I don't mean fake it till you make it. I mean literally become that person now, because you have a deep understanding that that's all within your reach. That's like a done deal. That vision is a done deal. And you're just taking the steps that are going to bring that vision into your reality now. Now, years ago, I didn't understand any of this. Years ago, I believed that I had to hustle and work twice as hard. And I was in a constant state of overwhelm and frustration. And that had a huge impact on my marriage. It had an impact on the mom I wanted to be to my 3 kids. And even though my life looked amazing on the outside, I was pretty unhappy. So that's why I do this work, because I literally want you to have a roadmap so that you can really live a fundamentally different life. Okay. And that's what the mind method is. It is a roadmap to elevate as many conscious souls as I can. And why? Because I believe in the ripple effect. I believe that when you invest in yourself to rewire your core belief system, you're not just transforming your business, you transform everything. You transform your relationship with yourself, you transform your relationships with the people who matter the most to you, and you transform how you show up in the world and the people that you impact. See, the science behind quantum energy is fascinating because it really shows us that changing our internal energy can truly have an impact on the world. It's not woo-woo stuff. It's really grounded in science. But here's the kicker. If you're making the same choices and feeling the same feelings and doing the same thing, your next level is going to remain forever out of your reach. Okay? So that's why it's really time for you to dig deep. It's really time for you to transform yourself into that person who can create that life and that impact. Okay. So I want to share with you 5 powerful mindsets that I use all the time. They're rooted in quantum physics. Okay. But these shifts can really help you move from self-doubt and fear and judgment, right? And those haunting future worst case scenarios to a place of conscious, deep inner knowing and trust that the universe has your back. Okay. So let's dive into some of these transformational shifts. So the first one is from self-doubt to self-trust. So I want you to notice the exact thoughts that keep you in a pattern of doubting yourself and your abilities. Because when you can clearly see that you're stuck there in that inner critic mind, that's your automatic mind, this is when you have the power to unhook yourself because you can so clearly see all of the facets of that mind. And you remember that you actually have inner wisdom. We all have inner wisdom. Okay. When you're not spinning in your automatic mind, you can access that inner wisdom. And part of really being able to just trust your inner wisdom is understanding that you're not in charge of the timing of what is going to come. Okay. All there is for you to do is to tune into your inner wisdom and follow it. Okay. And your inner wisdom can't be accessed from your automatic mind. It's actually hidden underneath your subconscious mind. Most people don't know how to separate themselves from their automatic mind. So they continue to allow that mind, that's their old self, to guide their beliefs, emotions, and choices and behaviors. And that's why they stay stuck in the dissatisfaction and the overwhelm and the frustration. Okay. So when you have self-trust, okay, because you're not making choices out of fear and doubt, but you're trusting that everything is coming to you in the exact timing that it's supposed to, now you are able to tap into your authentic self. You're able to say no to things that don't align with your authentic self. And you don't sweat the small stuff. You don't keep searching for the right answers. You already know that you have everything within you to succeed, and you trust that your path will unfold exactly as it should. Therefore, things that don't go your way, when you're facing rejection, when you're facing things that don't go your way, you can include that into trusting that that's part of your path. See, I don't get rattled by the rejections anymore, right? My inner critic tries to rattle me, but I stay grounded in that deep trust that this is all part of the path. Okay, shift number 2. That is from fear of judgment to self-approval. Okay. So we often worry about what others might think or say about us. But I want you to remember that when you are no longer aligning with that inner critic mind, right, you know that you have the ability to create conscious thoughts that shift your energy, and that's what matters the most. Okay. So you can see your inner critic's fear that you're going to be judged or you're going to be criticized or people are going to think that you're not enough. And you can shift into finding approval from yourself, not from other people. Because when you believe in yourself and in your vision, you radiate at a different energy level. Okay. You're no longer operating at the lower energy frequency of fear and doubt. And if you do have somebody in your life that criticizes you or judges you, or you have somebody that rejects you, you realize this is not evidence to support that you don't have what it takes. So you allow the people who are not your people to leave your life. You let them leave your life because you have a deep sense of trust that you know you are attracting your people to you. You are attracting your right circumstances to you. And that can only come from a deep sense of self-approval. Okay, shift number 3. From future worst case scenarios to present moment awareness. So it's very easy to get caught in a spiral of worst case scenarios about the future. Okay. It's actually my inner critic's favorite activity, to future trip. But when we see our inner critic running those old programs, we can then recognize it and shift our focus on this present moment, because this present moment is where our true power lies. So we can literally surrender. We can let go of that future worry and intentionally shift our attention to the here and now. And that's when we can get excited about what's coming because we're present. We're actually present to being inspired and in awe by what we've already created. And you embody that person that has everything that you need right now because you can really see how powerful you've been to create exactly where you are. Now there's more coming, but you know deep in your heart that that's already a done deal. It's already on its way to you. So you can learn to relax. You can learn to feel good now. You can ground yourself in gratitude and trust the timing of all of the unfolding of your life. Shift number 4, from worrying to letting go. Now, my inner critic loves to worry excessively, okay? But that's a pattern. And when I recognize that pattern, I unhook and I shift into surrender and letting go, okay? And when you're able to do that, you can literally feel your nervous system relaxing, okay? You can actually tune into a deep trust that the universe is working in your favor, that all of the circumstances, even the ones that you don't want in your life, are all for you. They are for your growth. They are for your learning. Unfortunately, we learn the most from times where we're triggered or we're in pain. So the more that you release control and surrender, that's when you actually start to manifest that life effortlessly. That's the irony. Our inner critic only wants to control, but when we actually learn to let go of control and stay present, that's when our lives become truly magical. Shift number 5 is from a scarcity mindset to abundance consciousness. Okay. So when I am separate from my inner critic mind, I know that there are limitless possibilities out there. Okay. So I'm not going to waste my time and energy dwelling on what I don't have or what I wish I had, or having any thoughts that are in a scarcity and lack mindset. All right. I used to do that all the time when my inner critic was in control. All right. But when you trust that there is more than enough to go around, okay, now you're able to interrupt that comparison thinking. You stop paying attention to what anyone else is doing. You stop believing that you should be further along, or you started too late, or you should be where that person is, right? That's all your automatic story. Okay. So that's where you can just tune into you, tune into that trust. And when you keep your eye on your vision and taking steps from that authentic self and trusting along the way, your vision will happen. It can't not happen. It might not look exactly the way that you see it in your mind, but you're taking steps, and those steps create momentum, and momentum creates change. Okay. So when you can stay in the state of flow as the momentum is building, because you know it's all coming, you don't have to force, you don't have to hustle, you don't have to stress. That's the biggest gift. Now, I will admit, when I got rejected, it was hard for me to stay in flow at that moment. Okay. So when I was dealing with rejection, my inner critic's patterns came right front and center. But when you know how to unhook from it quickly, and you know how to return yourself to flow and trust, that's truly the biggest gift that there is, because it changes everything. Changes every part of your life. That's the ripple effect of the journey of transformation and expanded consciousness. So there you have it. 5 powerful mindset shifts that ground you in your authentic self. And as you embrace these shifts and integrate them into your daily life, you'll find that the more that you trust, the more you let go, the more you step into higher vibration thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, the more you manifest all that you want. So I hope you found these insights and shifts valuable, and that they inspire you to embark on your own journey of transformation and impact. And if you're ready to take the next steps to explore the Mastering Your Mind program, it is a hugely powerful program and a community where you receive massive structured support, and you break old habits of thinking, you transform your outdated beliefs, you release energetic blocks, and you learn to co-create your life with the universe and step into a whole new level of possibilities. So if this resonates with you, if you're ready to embrace that next level version of yourself, then I invite you to explore the Mastering Your Mind program. You can go to my website, dethroningyourinnercritic.com, and schedule some time to chat with me. Thank you for joining me today. And remember that the universe has your back, and you have the power to create a life and impact of your dreams. So keep raising your vibration and believing in the incredible potential within you. Thanks for listening.